After fertilization, the fertilized eggs are placed in a special incubator.
Dear audience, if you have a big family, everything is fine with your children, and you are not planning to give birth anymore, this video is definitely not for you. But in case you already have several IVF attempts, you have individual contradictions, and you are thinking about surrogacy, this video is what you need.
Ukraine is a treasure trove after all. Almost everything is allowed from the legislation point of view. Everything is perfect. There is no scandals in the area of surrogate motherhood.
That's why I applied to ADONIS, so that they would show me what the main stages of surrogacy.
The couple should be officially married in the heterosexual marriage only.
What are the main myths? What is the process of surrogacy?
Sometimes an embryo can be delivered from over the sea. It's much more reliable because
recently, many of my friends, acquaintances from different countries, North America, Israel, Canada, have been addressing my channel with such questions as how things are in Ukraine, how to choose an agency, what's the difference. Therefore, today we have a topic about surrogate motherhood. Why did I choose ADONIS clinic? Firstly, I have already filmed it, and I really like ADONIS. They have their own maternity hospital. They provide a full medical treatment cycle, health center, hospital, maternity hospital, surgery department, female consultation, surrogate motherhood agency. It's a difficult topic, but a very interesting one. I really like the assisted motherhood term because it literally helps to become a parent. With the help of Ukraine surrogate motherhood, people from all over the world become parents. This is great. Get to know more about surrogacy.
we are in the embryology laboratory. This is the most central place in the assisted and reproductive technologies clinic. The most important stage of fertilization and cultivation of the embryo is carried out in the embryological laboratory. The process of embryo cultivation is rather complicated, and it does not begin here, not within the framework of this laboratory, but long before the patients get to the laboratory, before the patients get to us. This is the puncture room. 2 weeks before the woman gets to the puncture room, the preparation stage is provided by our doctors. And then, under anesthesia and under ultrasound, the follicles in which the eggs are located are taken. In parallel, the ejaculate of the partner is prepared in the spermatology room. Here, in the framework of these large microscopes, or even at entire stations, fertilizations take place. With the help of such micro airdrops, the spermatozoon is fixed and the egg is fixed too. Manipulation occurs with the help of such joysticks. Here, the fluid flow is controlled. After fertilization, the fertilized egg is placed into incubator. On the 5th day, the doctor decides whether the embryo will be transferred to the uterine cavity or the embryo will be frozen. This is a reproductive technology that makes it possible to become parents with the help of the third person, a couple who is participating in the program and a woman who carries a baby. We do not consider traditional surrogate motherhood because there is a real genetic connection between the surrogate mother and the couple. In our country, in many countries around the world, only the gestational surrogate motherhood is provided, in which the surrogate mother has no genetic correlation to child.
Here is a fable for you. The child is connected with the surrogate mother through the umbilical cord. How if there are no genetic material exchange of some kind?
It does not work so. The karyotype does not change from this.
So the baby just eats? In fact, it is the same if I said that when I eat sugar, I turn into sugar a little bit.
It's a very simple example, but yes, genetically the child belongs only to father and mother.
And does the child always look like mom and dad?
Do you look like your dad or mom?
Me, yes.
And when I met people who do not look like their parents, they look like a grandmother or grandfather, for example, I understand you mean that they are similar to the parental line. Yes, we have rather loyal legislation in Ukraine, both from the point of view of genetic parents and from the point of view of surrogate mothers. Plus, and in relation in our country, since the market is quite large and in high demand, the couple must be legally married. This is indispensable condition, and in heterosexual marriage moreover. Even in some countries, only the word marriage can be indicated. Then in Ukraine, only heterosexual marriage are necessarily prescribed in the legislation. First, we must decide whether the couple can use this technology at all. This is a documentary story. We maintain a continuing correspondence with the potential parents. The couple provides all required documents that confirm its health status and the ability to use the technology of surrogate motherhood. All these documents are translated and discussed remotely with the clinic. If there really are indications confirmed by documents which are translated and with all seals, then yes, a couple can enter into the process of surrogate motherhood under the conditions of Ukraine. A couple can be indicated for surrogate motherhood only on the strict medical aspects. Each country has its own definitions. Since we conduct IVF program in Ukraine, we are subject to the laws of Ukraine. We have developed a very detailed surrogacy contract. In principle, this is one of the most important documents in the surrogacy process. It regulates the relationship between genetic parents and a surrogate mother, and penalties are also provided if the surrogate mother violates any terms of the contract.
Well, for example,
the penalties can be $300 if she has not fulfilled all things for her commitments here. If we are already talking about some serious, for example, the surrogate did not draw up some kind of documentation for registration of a child, or she was carrying her own child and we think that it's a child of genetic parents, the genetic relation of the child is checked only at the end of the term. Then, in this case, the surrogate mother will have to compensate the entire cost of the program and even 2 times more, or else compensate to the genetic parents for the entire amount that they have already spent for the program. It's interesting that in our sample contract it's well covered that sexual relations are prohibited for the surrogate mother with anyone during the pregnancy. But we have very loyal genetic parents who always said that this is a pretty thorough requirements and almost an infringement of human rights. But our doctors insist that this is not about genetic relations. This is no longer a risk that she will become pregnant with her child. But there is a risk of other diseases that are sexually transmitted, since we cannot control this process. Theoretically, it exists all of a sudden for some reason. The surrogate mother decided to keep this child for herself. She is given a medical birth certificate in the maternity hospital, and on the basis of this certificate she goes to the registry office and registers this child for herself. The question is, how long can she be with this document and with this child after that? Because it's illegal and there are documents that confirm that this embryo is transferred to the cavity of surrogate mother. There is a certificate of genetic relations of the parents and that this embryo belonged to other people. So the surrogate statement can be easily challenged in court. In fact, surrogate mother will not be able to keep this child for herself.
were there such precedents?
No, we are in ADONIS have not had such precedents in 8 years of work. I still recommend doing a full genomic embryo screening. This is diagnosis for all pairs of chromosomes. Of course, this includes sex screening. You not only know that you will have boy or a girl, you know that for the chromosomes that in the human karyotype, this child will be healthy. Suppose a defect of chromosome 21, Down syndrome. This is one of those serious diseases and consequences that can occur not only in a couple who applied for a surrogacy, but also in any couple. If the embryo was created, it has already of some sex, male or female. No one is available to artificially create a boy or a girl. For example, if out of 10 embryos all are female, you will not be able to choose a male one.
But there are myths that you can choose the color of eyes, the color of the hair.
No, it's impossible. I think that they should still come because there are legal issues. And for the surrogate mother selections, it's important to get to know each other. But it happens that the selections take place remotely and they communicate in the same way, but the contract, of course, is always live. If the contract has been signed, the genetic parents can already leave. Our coordinators are totally involved in the process of surrogate mother preparations, the process of embryo transfer, carrying a pregnancy, and a surrogate mother hiring. If the parents give document consent for us to do this, of course. When the embryo retrieval carry out, sometimes an embryo is delivered to us from the other country. Sometimes the preparatory stage is carried out first for the couple, when the patient punctured and the eggs are taken from. These eggs are fertilized and the embryo are obtained. And when the couple can leave, signing all the documents.
In fact, the couple has several options: bring their own embryo or prepare it in the condition of Ukraine. To prepare the embryo in the condition of Ukraine, how much time should parents be in the country?
1 month on average. The legal registration of a born child depends on the country where the parents came from, their citizenship, and where they will go. There are countries where the process is very fast. In the best case, it takes 2 weeks to get a birth certificate and another document for the country embassy. Well, there are countries like Australia, for example. Their documents can be issued up to 2 months. Recently, there was a conference where there were speakers from the 15 countries, and after listening to the speakers, I realized that Ukraine is a treasure trove. Almost everything is legally allowed here. You can choose a donor, choose a surrogate mother. In many countries, it's prohibited, and even surrogate motherhood itself is prohibited in many countries. Compensation for a surrogate mother is approximately $15,000–16,000, but it goes up and up all the time. But the surrogate mother herself can ask for a slightly higher fee. For example, she can say that she has already successful experience, has participated in 2 programs, and that everything has ended well, so the fee could be $18,000. For the parents, the entire package can cost $40–50,000, depending on which package support is chosen. If we talk about the market as a whole, then most likely China, further North America, is very popular with us, and also Great Britain. Any surrogate mother, a woman who claims to be a surrogate mother, a woman who wants to participate in such program, she must undergo a full examination, which is regulated by the legislation of Ukraine. They go through a full checkup, they examine them because it must be a healthy woman, not only from the gynecological point of view, but also a somatically healthy woman, so that she bears a child and carries a pregnancy without any harm. Both reproductive specialists and psychologists work with her. Since it's psychologically quite difficult, the surrogate mother still bears a child. Any woman who has her own children, she understands that she gives life to another child. She is still interested in this not only economically, but psychologically. Maternal feelings are still included. We discuss all this with our specialist, a reproductive psychologist and gynecologist. Embryo can be stored in a cryobank for more than a human lifetime. Last year or the year before last, there was one case when a couple applied for the infertility treatment of a young woman. They could not have a children and they turned to the clinic for donor embryo. They were offered an embryo that has been frozen 20 years earlier. He thawed safely and they had a daughter. It was about 3 years ago because they had applied again and they has already 2 daughters. The press also joked that their child is almost the same age of her parents. I would advise you to look at the experience of the company, how many years the company has been operating. Because very often I see one-day companies on the market, they are not very versed in surrogate motherhood, but at the same time they already write that everything is possible. And the strangest thing, that they are trying to guarantee the result. Warnings in medicine are very unreliable. Nothing can be 100% guaranteed in surrogate motherhood as in any other part of the medicine. And it's also necessary to pay attention to the medical license. If we took a couple to surrogate motherhood and we completed the process in the maternity hospital and the parent got a healthy child, then the surrogate mother was under control all the time and the parents got full control over the process and a healthy child. If the clinic does not have its own maternity hospital, then together with a surrogate mother, you will look where she will give birth and all coordination may be disrupted. When the clinic has its surrogate department, it's much more reliable because the clinic values its reputation, which is developed over the past 10 years. And the clinic will make sure that the department that deals with surrogate motherhood does everything correctly and properly. Therefore, in the medical market, from my point of view, everything is fine. There are no scandals in the surrogate motherhood. It happens maybe once in 5 years when the surrogate mother, for example, does not agree with the choice of maternity hospital, but everything is completely solved. Most often, all parties are interested in process. Genetic parents receive a healthy child, a surrogate mother to receive her compensation. And then this moment comes, they are very kind to each other, they support each other, they communicate with each other, and at the end, everything comes out really well. In the event that an agency or a clinic suddenly starts to play up, other issues are turning up.